I've been reviewing cars for about, what, 2 years now? And I've been getting cars from the manufacturers directly for about a year and a half. But I finally convinced Toyota to give me a 2024 GR Supra. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Sparkplug TV. My name is Chris and I do car reviews for literally everybody, not just car enthusiasts. Before I begin today's video, please don't forget to like this video, comment something down below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell icon so that you get notified whenever I drop a new video, which is whenever I can. Thank you so much for your support. Yes, currently we are in the 5th generation of the Toyota Supra. The 4th generation stopped production 17 years prior to this one. This was debuted in 2019 and we are currently in the 2024 model year. Not much has changed for it except for the 45th anniversary edition that comes with 2 special edition colors and some specially edition badging, as well as an adaptive rear spoiler. Now, I'm not going to tell you anything that you don't already know about the Supra, which that this is basically BMW Z4 bones with a Toyota badge on top. But that doesn't make this any less of a pavement-crushing monster. And listen, the fact that Toyota teamed up with BMW to resurrect one of their most iconic name badges isn't necessarily a bad thing. Yes, this does have the same chassis code that the Z4 does, it has the same 2 engines, but it's definitely its own thing. And in terms of financials, Toyota did a really great business move by doing this because in order to make a brand new car from the ground up, it costs billions of dollars. All they really needed to do was kind of make it their own with their own body style, which they did, and it looks incredible. And this also isn't the first time that automakers have used a cross-pollination tactic to, I don't know, help bolster their nameplate. Mercedes-Benz gives Aston Martins their powertrains. Mercedes-Benz also gives Infiniti a lot of interior equipment, as well as Mercedes-Benz did, okay, I guess maybe it's just Mercedes-Benz at this point, but you get what I'm saying. Mercedes-Benz also gave Tesla a lot of their interior equipment until Tesla came out with their own bespoke stuff. GM also gave Fisker a lot of bin parts too, so again, not the first time that this has happened in the automotive industry. The 2024 GR Supra comes in 4 different trim levels starting around $47,000 for the 2.0. This is the 3.0 Premium that starts around $59,000, and the 45th Anniversary Edition starts around $66,000. This one also comes with the 19-inch frozen gray wheels with the Michelin Pilot Super Sport tires and Brembo brakes, but the rotors are not slotted, which I find to be an interesting choice, but they can still brake really well. The Toyota Supra comes in 2 powertrains, 2 transmissions, and 1 drivetrain. This is the turbocharged 3.0-liter inline 6-cylinder engine that outputs 382 horsepower and 368 pound-feet of torque. It then comes either optional with a 8-speed automatic transmission or a 6-speed manual that customers begged Toyota for. There is also the 2.0-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, but this has a little bit more power. Some other things I forgot to mention is that it does come with an adaptive suspension for a more sporty feel and a more daily driving feel, as well as it comes with a limited slip differential. All right, let's talk Supra aesthetics. I'm obsessed. No, I really do love the way that this looks. And if I were to choose between this and the Z4, I would honestly choose this. There's something about this aesthetic that I'm really drawn to. Now, don't get me wrong, the Z4 looks great. But there's something really extra sporty about this, and I can't put my finger on it other than the fact that it's got a really wide stance. I really love the side profile. The side profile is probably one of my favorite parts next to the back end. And I really like the front end too, don't get me wrong. I really like the LED daytime running lights as well as the headlamps. They really leaned into the future nostalgic aspect of it with the way that the front end looks. Hopefully what people will see the most out of you in the Toyota Supra will be the back end because of how fast you're going, because this thing is crazy fast. But that's probably why they made this so good looking on the back end. I really love the slanted roofline that connects into the fully integrated rear wing, as well as these LED tail lamps. They're stunning and they look like a modern version of the 4th generation Supras. Speaking of Supra, it has the iconic Supra nameplates dead center of the back end of the car, and it's still in the same iconic Supra font. I actually don't mind this plastic rear diffuser. It actually looks really good, especially with this blue color. Oh my gosh. Now, if I use this BMW key with the Toyota logo on it, I can open up the trunk because there is no hatch release on the back end. And I don't know the trunk's cargo capacity off the top of my head. I will put that down below. Let's go inside. Here we are on the interior of the GR Supra, and well, it's very BMW in here. Even right down to the Seatbelt chime. Anyways, you get the point. So all of the buttons in the center console are straight out of a last generation BMW, from the HVAC controllers to the radio controller, even down to the center console with this controller right here for the infotainment system, and even this gear selector is from a BMW. The headlamp controls are BMW, the steering wheel controls, the stalks, the infotainment system. The only thing that isn't technically BMW looking in here are the seats, the steering wheel, if you don't look at the buttons on the side, and the gauge cluster. Again, not a terrible thing, because that subcompact Infiniti that I can't remember the name of, it's basically a Mercedes on the inside. The good thing that I will say is that BMW makes a great interior, so why not use it? You know what I mean? All of the materials are very well crafted. I mean, all of these buttons are very nice, and they're all real buttons. None of them are the haptic feedback buttons. You know, nothing is touchscreen in here except for the infotainment system. The infotainment system is an 8.8-inch Supra Command infotainment system, and I say that jokingly because it's literally iDrive with a Supra badge on it. I mean, it just plain and simple it is. But it works well. It's fast in and out of Apple CarPlay, and I do like it, and I oftentimes use this controller because I know how to operate one of these controllers. But the touchscreen is very quick. Now, these are the sport bucket leather trimmed seats that are very comfortable. This is a very comfortable ride, and it's made even more comfortable by the adjustable bolstering as well as the lumbar support. It's a really comfortable ride, and me being 6'4", I actually fit in here. It's really not that bad. The other thing is that I really love the gauge cluster. They really did an awesome job on designing the gauge cluster. Even though the font is still BMW, it's a really great gauge cluster. And I also just really like it in general in here. It's a very nice interior to be in. I will say the one qualm that I do have with it is this roof line. So when you're at a light, like, you have to literally like dip down like this to look up at the stoplight, and then there is absolutely the worst blind spot. So thankfully there is a blind spot monitoring system. But other than that, it's a really nice, comfortable place to be, and I really like this carbon fiber accent as well. It's really stunning. Enough about that, let's take it for a drive. Now, right off the bat, I do have to mention that there is a huge difference between the only two driving modes that you have to choose from, which is normal and sport. Normal is definitely a more palatable, day-to-day kind of driving mode. The suspension is actually very palatable, and it's not too crazy fast. I mean, it's still pretty fast. You know, again, even though it doesn't have the sportier dampers on, I mean, it can still corner very well. And it's not nearly as rigid as, say, that F-Type R that I had in terms of suspension. It's not nearly as rigid as even like the Z Nismo that I had. It's actually like a good daily driver. And I actually know people that daily drive this thing. And to be quite honest, I could see myself daily driving this just by how comfortable the ride is. Then the special feature that comes into play is the sport mode, and it turns into literally a completely different car. The transmission locks in, because right now I'm revved at 3,000, right below 3,000 RPMs. I'm guessing I'm in like third gear right now. And it just immediately gives you power. And with the 50-50 weight distribution, I mean, it just makes handling in this thing that much more incredible. Listen, I know that every time I get into one of these two-door coupes, I am like astounded by them. But this time, I like actually am really astounded by this thing. I mean, just on the sound alone, the gears are actually pretty tall for what they are. I mean, I think that it's like kind of right in the middle with the gear ratio. I really like it. I like the transmission, I like the suspension, and this thing yo-yos around corners without even a second thought. Insane. Well, you know, at first I was a little dismayed by the fact that this is like basically a Z4 with a Toyota badge on it, But after doing all the research that I've done, coupled with having it for about a week now, I get it. Like, I get why Toyota did this, and I also understand that this is its completely own thing, separate of the BMW. It has its own personality, from the looks to the interior to the way that it performs to, yeah, just how it performs in general. I mean, again, if you look up this versus the Z4, this outperforms it every time. So, and it's less money. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's also crazy how it's so good on a day-to-day usage and how it's like actually very docile, and it's got great road manners. It's comfortable in here. You can bolster yourself to all hell, or you can have it really relaxed. To then you put on the sport mode, and it just turns into a completely different car. From the dampers to the electronic, to this limited slip differential, to the transmission just absolutely changing. I mean, it feels like a 5-speed when you change into sport mode. I mean, it's crazy how this thing goes from like everyday daily driver to absolute monster. I know that I get in every one of these sports cars and I'm like, wow, this is the best thing ever. This might be the best thing ever. I'm obsessed with the way that it looks, inside and out. I love it. I really do love it. So that's all I've got. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Hey Sparks, thanks for watching today's video. Do you want more Sparkplug TV content? Then you can choose one of these 3 options. Right over here. The middle button is to subscribe to my channel, so please do that. Right over here. These 3. I can't see them in real life, but they're right here.